Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Everything Scuba. I am Lyle.
I'm Josh. Lyell and I are avid divers and instructors here in North Iowa.
We're pretty passionate about diving. We want you to find your passion here at Everything Scuba. If you're a diver, you want to be a better diver, want to learn how to scuba dive, this is the channel to come visit. So hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell, don't miss out on any of our upcoming episodes. So this is part 2 of a series of videos that we're doing on full face mask diving. So Josh, you're going to tell you a little bit about what we're going to talk about today.
So this is part 2. Lyell already talked to us about the Guardian. Now we're looking at the other, or one of the many other OTS options. One of the other more common options, it's the Spectrum from OTS. It is going to be a full face mask that you will use your own regulator with. It's a better price point for some people to get into the full face mask, give you the benefits of covering your face for cold water. There are a few pros and cons, and we're going to talk about that.
Yeah. So we're going to go over to North Iowa Scuba. Josh is going to give you a tour of the Spectrum, show you the differences between that and the Guardian. So hang in there.
So okay, everybody, we're back over here at North Iowa Scuba, and we are going to look at the Spectrum full face mask from Ocean Technology Systems, or OTS. You can look, there's the link for when Lyell showed us the OTS Guardian, if you want to check that out. There are some differences between the Guardian and the Spectrum, and so today he already went through the Guardian. We're going to go through the Spectrum. So, a couple things, a little different. You know, just like the Guardian, you get a manual, you get one of OTS's wrenches, so you can take out these plugs. You get this mask. The harness, very, very similar. I would guess that the harness itself is the same. I don't know that for a fact. But you'll notice the only part on this mask that is hard compared to the Guardian is just the glass lens. So just like your typical dive mask, it is a tempered glass lens. Now there are some pluses and negatives to that. One plus is with the Guardian, Lyell showed us that glasses insert that he had to put in for prescription glasses. Now this, just like your tempered glass typical dive mask, you can get glued in or adhered prescription lenses, or you could do the little stick-on cheaters. I would guess you may even be able to get a replacement lens that has ground prescription in it, although that would be significantly more expensive than the glue-in. So that's one positive. One negative is that the whole mask is soft. Again, the only part that is solid is the tempered glass lens and this frame around it. There are a few positives to that. One, we can all Valsalva, we can pinch our nose just like we do with our typical mask. We don't have to worry about nose blocks. You know, if you notice on the inside of this mask, no nose block area. This nasal oral cavity is still a nice soft thing, but there's no hard nose blocks to be able to push up against your nose to be able to Valsalva, because we can pinch. So that is nice. One other nice thing about this, and probably the thing that makes this more interesting or more of a potential full face mask for most recreational divers, is you'll notice we are not getting a new second stage regulator with this mask. We are going to reuse our second stage regulator. And so we're going to go through the process of how we can connect that. You know, the Guardian comes with their own full face mask and secondary regulator system, hence the expense and why it costs several $100s more. So there are a few things that look similar. So from the Guardian, you may notice, like Lyell showed us with the Guardian, this sweet cap. This one on this we could also use for comms. I believe also you may notice there's no ambient valve in this. So when our regulator is in here, we are breathing compressed gas. There is an ambient breathing valve for this mask, and there is a really good installation video that we will link to that Dive Saga has put out there OTS also has a nice video of that. After diving the Guardian, I would want the ambient breathing valve, but that's another way that they're able to make this less expensive. Everything they've done with this mask is to make it more cost-friendly, I believe. I believe that's why you're going to reuse your own regulator, as well as not having an ambient valve that comes with it. But that can be added. You can also add comms to this, and so just like the buddy phone for the Guardian, it could also be added. Now there are a couple things with this mask that we'll talk about. So the skirt, nice big flat, soft, almost like a silicone gel as opposed to a rubber. Nice skirt, very soft and supple, going to be comfortable on your face. Nice glass lens. One thing with this, it does not, because it's going to use your own regulator, it does not defog quite the same way that the Guardian does. So just like your typical dive mask, you're going to need to clean initially, whether it's burn, soft scrub, Sea-View, any of the scrubs to scrub the initial, any oils or anything that comes on the mask. But then you're going to need to use a quality defog. Okay, there are a couple other things. Because this mask is soft, it has this nice little drain tab you can pull on. There are a couple of drains down in here. Hopefully you can see down in here that when that water is stuck in there, you can pull on that to get out. There are also some little drain ports clear back. It'd probably be easier to see through this way. Clear at the very back in here. That way they can get down into this lower portion so you can pull to drain. A little different than the Guardian. Let's see. This one also, just like the Guardian, has accessory rails to add lights, cameras, whatever you want to add. This has a little different setup though. This would be much easier as someone who likes to make a lot of their own equipment or fabricate things. This would be really simple to fabricate a small aluminum mount for something, or Delrin, or even just polycarbonate or something to mount lights or a GoPro, things like that. But these are nice brass insert little threaded attachment points. So that's nice. So how do we go about mounting a regulator to this? Well, it seems simple. We just wait, that doesn't fit. So there's a few things we're going to have to do. And for this example, I'm going to use this Aqualung Legend. A really nice reg. But there are a few things that when I wanted to try this with the Spectrum that I had to do. Let me move a couple things out of the way. So one, you notice, this Aqualung Legend, of course I have it disconnected, but I need to get this mouthpiece off. Aqualung and some of the other manufacturers use a pretty slick little clip here that we can get. I need to pop this clip up, so instead of using, but oh no, my exhaust tee is in the way. Well, I start looking, there's no clip here at the bottom to get the exhaust tee out. The Legend has this little spring-loaded pin. You have to depress that pin, then you can slide this to the side. And that's how this exhaust tee comes off. So once that is off, now we have access and we can get to this clip. Again, this is just, instead of using a zip tie, this is a nice little reusable clip. It essentially takes the place of a zip tie. And if you're somebody, for the Spectrum, it seems like a great idea because it would be, it would save you a zip tie every time. So our mouthpiece comes off. So now we are closer to being ready. We're going to put this in, but there's something we need to do with this Spectrum first. So we're going to set this to the side. We're going to set this little clip to the side. Now the Spectrum inside here has this little hard plastic, little hard plastic section, and it attaches to this side. We need to remove that to be able to get our regulator in. So we take this nice little provided wrench, just like came with the Guardian. We are going to loosen this up. So we remove this. because this is soft and supple, we can push this in, this piece, and then it comes out. So that is out for the time being. There's an optional, if you really wanted to essentially have a bite piece inside the Spectrum, there's an optional piece. Part of what a lot of people like about the full face mask is that you don't have to bite on something to breathe. So I'm not sure who or why has tried that, but if you use that, you have to invert this so you can get the clip on and it sits out a little bit farther. But in our instance, with this Legend, we are not going to do that. So now that we have the Spectrum, this piece is out, we have our second stage that we're going to use and the mouthpiece is off. We can fit this into this hole. And you'll see this mouthpiece is significantly larger, but because this is supple, it will stretch, and it actually says it will stretch up to 50% again its size. But so it sits in there. Now you notice it's kind of floppy. That's one of the complaints people have, but with this, once this is back in, that's going to help. So our mouthpiece is in there, and our regulator is in there, but to attach it, we need to get either a zip tie or, in our case, we're going to reuse the aqua lung clip. And so in this case, we're going to reuse this aqua lung clip that goes in the same groove that you would use a zip tie in. So we can get this in, get it over, make sure it's seated, nice and seated. Okay, so now it is captured. We can give it a nice little pull. It's in there. You know, the sealing action is just the silicone on that, but that clip is going to keep it so it can't pull out. So once the regulator is in there, we need to put this little hard piece back in. This end is made to tuck under the other side. We have to try to tuck it under this other side. And then you'll notice it has this nice big oval in the center. We have to get it around our mouthpiece that's now in there and our clip. It takes a little fiddling around. And then it kind of wants to sit there. So there we have it. It's around that. It's tucked under this other side. We've got to make sure that the silicone mask is seated around it. Then we can take our nut and start our nut back on. Now we want to make sure that this is seated nice and down around there because that's going to seal. I'm going to pull this back up. If you notice, there are these little grooves. Maybe if I pull this back you can see. There's that little groove around there and there's little teeth. And then on the inside of this skirt are little teeth. We want those to line up. And that's how we're going to know it's down in that groove well. And then as we tighten this up, if it's not down in there, it could fold over and we don't want that. So we want this to be. So we start this on. It's down in those grooves. So we're going to go finger tight. And then we can hold it from the back. We can use the wrench that's provided. And we're just going to go a little bit tighter. Again, this isn't something that needs to be ridiculously tight. There's no point in potentially tearing our skirt, but we want it to be secure. Let's go a little bit more. So we have our inside plastic frame back in there. It's tucked under this other side. That side is tight. Our zip tie, or in this case the aqua lung mouthpiece clip, is in place. Make sure that's, yep, it's in place. A regulator, if you notice, it's a little bit twisted. So I'm going to go ahead and try to twist it a little bit, but I noticed the first time I installed that, and so I'm not sure if that's just the way the mask is made, or I'm guessing it may be just the front cover is a little off square of the leading to the mouthpiece, but that's okay. Now we have to put our exhaust tee back on. Now this is a little bit difficult because this is kind of a large exhaust tee, but I noticed if we pull out a little bit, we can get it. And once it's there, notice again, this legend has this little spring clip. We have to push that pin back in. Once it's pushed past, we can just slide past while we hold down. There it goes. So that tee's back in. You'll notice that tee kind of contacts on both sides. Now our Apex regs come with a large and a small tee, and I'm not sure if you can get a smaller tee for this or exhaust setup for the Legend, but that might be so. For that reason, I'm not sure if there's any functional issues. I don't believe there are any functional issues with it touching, but it may just drive you nuts. But so the regulator is in. And essentially, once we have a hose hooked up, this is how it would look. Again, it drives me nuts that that's a little bit off, but I think that's just the front cap on the regulator sitting that way. So again, this is the Spectrum. Because we're using our regulator, now this is a really nice, one of the better breathing regulators, and it's adjustable, but this would be a really, really nice breathing regulator with a nice, supple, easy to equalize, soft full face mask. Thank you for watching. Now, if you are one of our divers who has dove this mask and you have comments, we'd really love to have comments from people who have dove both the Guardian and the Spectrum. Differences, likes, dislikes. We're still trying to figure that out for ourselves as well. But please let us know. If it's been helpful, please subscribe. If you have questions or comments, we'd love to hear them. Remember, you can subscribe to the channel, Everything Scuba, ring the bell. It would mean the world to us.